We're learning some new details about what went down. You know, that's street jargon, what went down during an Oval Office meeting right there at the White House with the president and everything. Prior to President Trump's lambasting of the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer, and Hakeem Jeffries, we need a nickname for him, with that hilarious sombrero video. Everybody saw the sombrero video, right? And the president had Trump 28 hats, like he's running for president again for re-election in 2028. Trump 28 hats displayed for the Democratic leadership in the Oval Office there on the Resolute desk. Sharing these images on Truth Social from the meeting, the House Minority Leader went on CNN to try to explain what happened there.
When he tried to hand you that Trump 2028 hat, what was your reaction?
Well, actually, he did not try to hand Leader Schumer and I the Trump 2028 hat. They just randomly appeared in the middle of the meeting on the desk. It was the strangest thing ever. And I just looked at the hat, looked at J.D.Vance, who was seated to my left, and said, "Don't you got a problem with this?" And he said no comment.
You know, you take them, you bring them to the Oval Office. It's all obvious for everyone to see, and they misunderstand everything. They're like a Beatles lyric. That wasn't all, though. Additional reports suggest that the president showed the Democratic leadership the crown jewel of the Presidential Walk of Fame. That is, of course, the framed photograph of Joe Biden. Really, it's just his Autopen, but it's hanging on a wall at the White House, and that is darn hilarious. And these guys, it's another opportunity for them to prove how humorless they are.
Well, this is the thing. Then they go on CNN and they're like literally explaining about the hat. They're not even talking about the shutdown, which shows how President Trump continues to outsmart the Democrats. Yep. He outsmarts the media. He's the one setting the narrative. He's the one that's bringing humor into, oh my goodness, this crazy political environment that we're living in. And the Democrats are just befuddled. They cannot get hold of the narrative anymore. It has not worked for them.
You know, really, the looming question is who's more clueless, the Democratic leadership on the Hill or CNN? It's kind of it's a fight off to the death there. The fake news media, CNN included, tried to trap Vice President J.D.Vance on the president's trolling the Democrats with the sombrero video. Again, hilarious. But the vice president quickly, shut him down again.
Is it helpful to post pictures of Leader Jeffries in a sombrero if you're trying to have good faith talks with him?
Oh, I think it's funny. The president's joking, and we're having a good time. You can negotiate in good faith while also poking a little bit of fun at some of the absurdities of the Democrats' positions, and even, you know, poking some fun at the absurdity of the Democrats themselves. I mean, I'll tell Hakeem Jeffries right now, I make this solemn promise to you that if you help us reopen the government, the sombrero memes will stop. And I've talked to the President of the United States about that. On the sombrero thing, I mean, Hakeem Jeffries said it was racist, and I know that he said that, and I honestly don't even know what that means. Like, is he a Mexican-American that is offended by having a sombrero meme? I mean, I saw one of the major TV stations put the meme up and then say, this is AI generated. And he had like the curly animated mustache too. It's like, do you really not realize the American people recognize that he did not actually come to the White House wearing a sombrero and a black curly animation mustache? Like, give the country a little bit of credit.
Alex, I've got to say, it really is. It's sort of a moron off. Who's the leading moron in the United States of America? And it is funny, and it's true. President Trump makes fun of them and he ridicules them, and they just don't know how to take any of this.
Yeah, he's the king of trolling for sure. I mean, we know that also with the wonderful Autopen portrait. But one of the pictures that was just showed, I really liked because it looked like a gracious meeting. If you saw it, it looked like there was Diet Coke in front of Jeffries and Schumer, so he offered them his favorite beverage. When
free,
they came,
and it's free. They love stuff that's free.
Yeah, well, it's got to be because, yeah, we can't afford
Trump
it now with our federal funds.
He has like a button where he gets
his Diet Coke button. Yeah.
That's right. And, you know, the other thing is, though, is the reference to the Trump 2028 hat, the comment that Jeffries said that he made to Vance, I mean, that almost could be in jest. Like, are you okay with that? You know, like the assumption that Vance is going to take the MAGA wheel. And, you know, if that's kind of how those conversations go, if they can be civil and joke around with each other, I think, you know, why can't they fund the government? Come on,
Is this another indication of mental illness being rampant in the Democratic Party?
Well, in terms of that's you'd have to look at studies to see who has more mentally ill people, the Republicans or the Democrats.
Oh, that's an easy one.
Really?
But I will say that
The New York Times doing that study.
I think that study was canceled by the National Science Foundation. But
we don't have a fund for it.
Sometimes this trolling can go too far. The White House deleted a video of something about med beds, which is some where you stay in a hospital bed and live forever. And even that was too far for them. And so you would expect, it seems like half of the White House is devoted to creating memes and AI-generated stuff instead of actually doing policy work.
Well, that and securing the border.
You could do both at the same time, right? You totally can do both.
Multitasking.
And work on peace in the Middle East and peace in Europe and all kinds of things. But the opportunity for them to prove their humorlessness is an ongoing matter, and they continue to prove it every day. The lack of good humor and cheer by these people who are, I don't want them to self-immolate or anything like that just yet. The Democrats appear to be taking the shutdown very, very seriously. They're very upset. They really love government. The right squad's own Matthew Foldy, our great pal Foldy, he went down to Hakeem Jeffries' office wearing cowboy boots this morning. But the minority leader wasn't there, believe it or not, at 9:30 a.m. 9:30 a.m. He wasn't there yet because he's sleeping in or something. Foldy found his office closed and locked up, but there was a stack of newspapers at the door, of actual old-fashioned newspapers, bad for the environment, I've got to say, Hakeem, while the Republicans' offices were open and everybody was there at work because, Republicans are hardworking people and Democrats like to sleep the day away.
You got a lot of work to do to keep the government open, and Democrats just don't want to do it. But back to the troll, I just wanted to point out, we're engaging on this narrative that Trump trolled the Democrats. But I have a different take. I think the Democrats have been trolling Trump since he came down the escalator in 2015. They did the Obama spied on his campaign, didn't he? That's a troll. They did the Russia hoax. That's a troll.
That's a crime.
That's
a crime.
But hey, they didn't get charged for anything. Nathan Wade and Fani Willis. That may be the most incredible troll ever to be played in politics, and they get away with it. And yet Trump gets skewered for putting a sombrero. And actually, I don't even think he.
This also comes. The fact that he posted this comes as his approval rating among Hispanics has gone down. So he won a lot of Hispanics last year, but now 69% of Hispanics are disapproving.
Well, the sombrero video is going to help.
I like the newspaper picture just because, as somebody who works for the Washington Times, I took a dig at putting, all the paper out there, but please continue to buy us. Keep our lights on. I have the
Washington Times every day.
Let's be real. It's always been the Democrats that during COVID, during the shutdown, they didn't show up for a very long time to these congressional offices. So not surprising that when it's the shutdown
Can I also just say that the hats, the Trump 2028 hats, he offered them as gifts. And they lack grace and graciousness, and they're bitter and humorless, and they rejected the hats, which would have been great collector's items.
Right.
And this response the Democrats give is the same as, I know you are, but what am I?
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.